Hey guys, this is part 3 of the Z-Scale portable layout that I'm working on. And in this video, I'm going to drill out some rivets to remove these little brackets inside the case that I don't want there. I'm going to cut up some 1/8 inch plywood to create a sub-layer base that we're going to build the layout on. And third, we're going to cut up some rubber sheeting that is going to be glued together and glued to that sub-base as a kind of a starting layer. So let's get going. Alright, for starters, I'm going to do things a little out of order because I want the glue to start drying on this rubber sheeting. So I found this stuff at Home Depot. It wasn't exactly what I was looking for, but I think this actually is going to work out pretty nice. It's got a fairly smooth side, and then it's got a somewhat rough side. And I think that rough side, if I do that face down, that's actually going to be a nice surface for the spray adhesive to stick to. So I think this is actually going to work out better than I originally planned. I definitely hadn't planned on using material like this, but I'm going to give it a try. It's a little thin. I think the guy that cut it for me said he thought it was like 2 or 3 millimeter. It's a little thin. So I had to buy it in 1 foot increments, so I told him to cut me off a 2 foot piece, which gave me, let's see here. Give me just around 27 inches by 28 inches, which is really perfect for what we're doing. So I'm going to cut this in half, and then I'm going to use some spray adhesive to sandwich the 2 layers together. And I've already marked this dead center. And it doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to trim it later to fit that subboard. There we go. Nope. There we go. Now, if you've ever used spray adhesive, you know that it kind of works like contact cement, where you spray both surfaces, you actually let that dry. Well, they say it's dry, but it's more of a tacky feeling. And once you do that, once those tacky surfaces are ready, you put them together, but you got to kind of work fast with it because it will bond almost instantly. All right, the nice thing about Justin having moved is I've got plenty of cardboard around, so this will keep the overspray to a minimum. Okay, so we're going to do a light coat of spray adhesive on both of these. Alright, now we have to wait for this to dry and become tacky. Once it does, we can fold these together. Okay, so these have dried enough. They're just tacky now, and that's exactly what we want. And I'm gonna just go for it here. Okay. Trying to feel if there's any bubbles, but I don't think there is. Doesn't feel like it anyways. It's pretty good. And you can see it basically bonds instantly. But that's what we wanted. Alright, for this next part, this is going to be actually cutting that little, cutting the sub bed or sub floor, or whatever you want to call it, sub platform. That's going to go inside the case, and everything will be built on top of it. I had this plywood. It's about 1/8 inch or so. I don't always trust that it has the square edges. So I know this is the factory edge, so I'm going to work from that. I'm using the square. I've got my track saw track set up. I've used that to square this up. So what we're going to do is just start off with squaring this edge up with the track saw and kind of go from there. Okay, now, yep, that's a good 90 now. Okay, so for this board, we're going to go 12.5 deep. Mark this at both sides or both ends. That way the track is right on. there's our board. Now, this isn't going to fit in the case as is, and that's because these corners are square. We're going to have to round those off. Although I found that a US quarter seems to be pretty close to what the roundovers should be, so I'm going to cut it to that, and we'll see how well it fits. So I was looking at this case. It looked like a quarter would be real close to cut the radius, but actually, looking at this case closer, it's not a radius, it's just like a little clip corner. So instead, I'll get this out of the way. I'm just going to trim these corners, and I'm using my dovetail saw. So if any of my woodworking friends are watching, just look away, guys. Just look away. I know this is going to hurt somebody's feelings. Alright, let's tackle these rivets. Usually a decent sized bit, you know, good, I don't know, maybe almost twice the diameter of the rivet you're trying to drill out will usually do the trick. There we go. That's one. And two. Alright, I've been doing a little bit of fine tuning with a sanding block and even a sharp cutting knife or a utility knife. Just fine tuning it a little bit. Had to sand the corners just slightly more, but it's in there, and that looks like a pretty good fit. Now, it's sitting a little below the edge here, and actually what it's doing, it's sitting on some screw heads that are in these corners, so it's actually sitting there actually pretty nicely on there. What I haven't decided on is if I'd like that to actually be a little bit lower, because I'm going to have a 1/2 inch thick piece of foam on here. I take that back, it's going to be 1 inch foam. There's going to be 1 inch foam on top of there, and I'd like most of that to be sunken down into the lid. So I think what I'm going to do is actually cut these corners a little bit more so that way they will drop all the way down. Okay, I worked on this a little bit more, trim these corners a little bit more, and now the board will drop all the way down into the case. Now, I'm not going to have it all the way down in there just simply because there is going to be stuff underneath, potentially that servo control for the turnout. Haven't decided yet. This will be the top. This is the smooth side. This will be the bottom. This will be the side attached to the board. Alright, another dose of glue here. And just to test fit, you can see that this does fit just about right where we want it. Alright, here we go. Okay. Let this dry and come back and put those together. Alright, so about 30 minutes has passed, and these are definitely tacky and just about right. So all we have to do is put them together. And just about bonds instantly. There you go. That's about as instant as it gets. And I'm just going to apply some pressure just to make sure there's no air bubbles. There shouldn't be. Yeah, this looks good. Alright, the only thing left to do is just trim around that. I am not going to do that on camera and bore the hell out of you. But that's what I'll do. And in the next part, we'll work on putting this in the box, just kind of test fitting it again and adding some foam and so forth. So look forward to part 4. Thanks for watching.